Well, good morning and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Heavyweights podcast. I'm Ashton, Hines, one half of the Real Estate Heavyweights. I've been in the business a little over 4.5 years. I've flipped 4 homes. I had a rental home. I help people buy and sell houses all over DFW. I was in home health for about 10 years doing physical therapy as a physical therapist assistant. I transitioned over to real estate, kind of blended both for a while, did the dual career, tried to do the nooks and crannies real estate evenings and weekends. That's when I was flipping, and that's when I was learning the business. And but I went full time almost a year ago. And the person that's helped me out probably more than anybody else and learning how to flip and learn how to do real estate and manage a business and just be a good dude is my good friend, Tavis Westbrook. And he's here with us. Well, welcome on, Tavis. How are you?
Thank you, man. Thank you, brother. I'm doing okay this morning. Yeah,
yes.
Doing well, as I normally say. I was trying to say something different, but no, things are good. We are moving right along. We need more inventory, which is normally, the name of the game, but things are good. I've got a couple. We closed out the project that, took 3 contracts to get it done. So that happened this week. Yep. And it's been a while since that's happened. I know we've talked about it before, but that one closed, so let's check the box on that one. And then the townhome, I don't think we had a chance to talk about that because it's happened pretty fast. I mean, townhome in North Dallas off of Tollway and 635 took off like a rocket ship. So it actually got a lot of attention even prior to going on live on the market. Just the neighborhood chatter. But it was probably one of your most successful open houses, right? You said you had like a record number of how many?
Yeah, I think we had at least 30 groups come through.
Wow.
And a lot of them were neighbors. So I will interject this. I know we did not do an episode like this last week. It's for a good reason, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But so that's why we don't know quite where we left off as what we talked about on the project. But I did that open house at Montego, and sort of the breakthrough for that, to pull back the curtain a little bit. I'm still learning the business, and I know some, and I have some traction. But I do a lot of open houses, and I'd gone on this long run of open houses that just were not successful. And over the last, 15 or 20, Tavis has said, man, you need to knock doors. Are you knocking doors? And I'm like, I am not going to knock doors. Like, I don't want to. I don't like when people knock on my door. This is the whole thing. And at one point I was like, dude, please just stop asking me. I'm not going to do it, And so I went to a class on open houses. The person's been very successful. She doesn't knock on doors. I'm like, finally, this is my sign. I can do it without that. Well, then inevitably the next one that I was going to do for someone else, it wasn't at our house, it's for sale, that was yours. And you had gotten such traction and so many people reaching out and neighbors wanting to come over and walk it, like if they see someone in the driveway. And you're like, I really want to pick up something else in this neighborhood. We just need to meet some neighbors. I was like, all right, fine. I will knock doors. And so I think I got there 2 hours early. I ended up vacuuming the whole house and sweeping. This was back to my college days when I needed to study. I was like doing everything except for what I probably needed to do. So I'm actually cleaning the whole house. I vacuumed and it looked awesome. I mean, in my defense, it did need it, but so then it came down to it, and I started knocking on the doors. And I was wearing dress shorts and a button down, but it was muggy, and I was nervous, and I was going door to door. I think it took me like 4 or 5 to even get an answer. And once I got through that first one, and I gave him my card, and I just said, hey, we're the ones that have been renovating. I think 12431, whatever it was. 12431 on down the street in Montego. We have an open house today. We just wanted to make sure all the neighbors were invited, and gave them my card, and I ran. I just bolted down the street. No, but they were nice about it and didn't pull a pistol on me. And I was like, okay, that's a good start. And so I ended up going, I didn't count the actual doors, but it's probably 40. And I think I actually met 15 people, gave them my card, invited them.
That's awesome.
But by the time I was done, the reason I quit, I was actually about 20 minutes before we were supposed to start. I'm not kidding. It looked like I jumped in Lake Lewis.
That was your text to me, I think, was like a jab at me, like, you jerk. I'm soaking wet now.
Sweat.
Now I have to change shirts.
Yeah, I'm like, which I didn't have a change. So I'm going into the house, just like standing under the fan, just looking like a crazy person.
Yeah, you didn't say any of the success to me. Your text was nothing about, hey, I knocked on 40 doors. I got 15 contacts. Like, that's huge. You didn't say any of that. You were just like, thanks to you, I'm dripping the sweat.
Yeah,
and now I'm waiting on this open house to start. And I'm like completely soaked.
But so between that and, I just think that the neighbors had been talking. I'm not sure if the ones that you met put it on their Facebook group or not, but we had a lot of neighbors come by, and actually one person who we knew had already made an offer, a verbal offer. They brought their people by. So yeah, it was very successful. People loved it. The design was great. Price point was really, really, really good. It sort of was this unicorn type property that this is a neighborhood that people just watch evidently. And they know, kind of like my Keller neighborhood that I sold the land in last year. And the day after we went on the market, we got 3 offers because people were just staring at this area, and anything that would pop up, they would just make an offer on it. And that's what happened here. And it just turned out that yours was one of 6 in this neighborhood of probably 200 that has a downstairs primary bedroom. And people know that. And they're like, okay, this is very rare. I want this.
Yeah. And when I think a lot of people, this is an area of Dallas. So this is Preston Hollow. It's just north of Melshire Estates, if you guys are familiar with that. But it's in between the Tollway and Preston. And it's a little area called Preston Square. Well, what it is, everything around it is $1 million plus, at least, right? To get anything comparable. And so you just got, and the HOAs are really cheap. They're like $260 a month. You get a pool, you get tennis courts, and it's just a very little tight knit little townhome community. So it's private back in there. There's not, if you're driving through there, you're not. Yeah, I mean, typically anybody driving through there is meant to be there, right? Like, it's not. There's no drive-through traffic. It's like the end of Knoll Street dead ends into this place. So. Anyways, cool little spot. Well, there's a lot of people that, have this in their radar and just like are constantly watching it. Many people I talked to knew a lot about the neighborhood all the way back to like almost every house that's sold within the last 6 months to a year. And just everybody's watching like a hawk. I got a text yesterday from somebody saying, are you buying any more in the neighborhood, because we want to do an off-market deal with you and just come direct and buy one of your properties. And I'm like, I'm trying. And they're like, will you please let us know? And, so I'm still getting traffic now. And then I think it's a wholesaler. He wouldn't tell me who he worked for yesterday. And I guarantee you him or his team locked up the one that was in the one in the front that was listed for $4 dropped down to $350 now, $360. And when I originally looked at it and ran the numbers, I thought, I can get this in the low 3s. And they seemed like they were going to play ball. I walked it, and it was terrible. It should never have been on the MLS. Right. And the poor agent, she was trying to do the lady a favor. She finally said, hey, she goes, she's making me do agent to meet every time to show this thing. Because she's got a dog in here, and she goes, it's not show ready. The beds are never made. There's dishes in the sink. Like, this is literally like what we're used to seeing in the wholesale and flip market.
Agent to me is like you have the polar, like the poles of real estate. You have that end of like, okay, please don't step there. Please wipe, you're going to want this Lysol. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or you have the other end. It's like 4 million plus. Where the owner's like, I don't want just any Yahoo walking through my house. I need you to meet him out here and walk him through the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and this is just, I mean, this place is a disaster. I mean, and I will say that we look at a lot of flips, potential flips that aren't as bad as this. This had 2 active leaks in the bathrooms. I don't know if one was from plumbing or one's from a roof. There's active mold, mildew growing that you can see. There's a giant 50-gallon drum bucket upstairs in the upstairs bathroom with a sump pump that is pumping water out of the 50-gallon trash can.
Dude.
As it drains in and then plumbed into the toilet line.
Sounds reasonable.
The tub is like destroyed. Like there's no, like it's all the tiles missing. Like it is terrible. And they're living there and there's like a bed in the middle of the living room floor, dining room floor on the ground. Some roommate or somebody staying there. I mean, it's not anything that should be on MLS.
You just need to bring your creativity, and light cosmetics are needed. And
yeah, right. Well, that's what's going to happen. I mean, stay tuned because you're going to see it hit your email like in the next day or so.
We'll get a wholesaler email that just says
some wholesaler got it tied up. The guy wouldn't tell me who he worked for yesterday. He just said, "Hey, are you buying in the area?" And well, first he asked me, "What did yours sell for?" And I said, "Well, I'll say it sold after over asking." But I can't, disclose that till we sell. And he's like, would you buy another one? I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, but if it's the one in the front of that building, the front of the units, I saw it, I bid on it, I was way low, and she wouldn't play ball. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's what's going on with us lately. The Montego one has taken off like a rocket ship. Really happy with that one. Surprised us every once in a while. You tee it up to get a base hit, double hit, and then you end up with a home run. So if everything goes well, it'll be a nice little home run.
Well, like I said in one of our videos, mid-year. If it goes over asking, I'm going to take credit for some of the design decisions, and thinking that's probably what put it over the top is the primary bathroom tile on the floor and the guest bathroom tile upstairs.
Yes, you did. Twist my arm a little bit.
Several people cited that. See, look, you spent a little bit more on time.
Oh, no, don't start doing that. You listeners out there, don't listen to Ashton on that part.
If you spend more, it'll pay off.
Yeah, right. No, so I thought about you yesterday because I was at Bedrosian's.
Yeah.
And I was getting everything laid out for this greenfield circle. And I do like that aloe tile. So I went back and I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with that
in the primary bath wall.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with a lot of it. I've got like a little bit around the tub, pre-walls. It's not a big deal. Like I'm not doing that much of it. So even though it's a little bit more expensive, I'm not doing that much. Let's do it. And so I decided to do it. Well, I was there. And of course, my sales rep was talking to me about the floor tile and we're working on it. And she showed me one that was really nice, but I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to do the wall tile. Like, I felt bad telling her no, but I'm like, no, I'm going to go to Floor and Decor. Like, here's a tile that I can put down. That's, $1.50 a foot, a porcelain tile. Like, no, sorry. I just can't justify paying $4 a foot, in this price point of house.
Speaking of spending your money, I didn't realize in the last two projects that I demoed, I increased your plumbing budget because, I've said before, I've gotten better demo. It's more like surgery than like, the chip gains, like get a 5-foot running start, just run through walls and just use the sledgehammer. That's the only tool you have is the sledgehammer.
You've kind of brought a protege on, which was my son's friend.
Yeah.
And you guys have done this. You handled this demo with precision. Like this one was really well done. There's a few little loose ends, a few little things that were missed, but that's okay. You're living and learning, and it's easy to forget some of these little closets or light fixture that was left in one closet or something like that.
Easily fixable. The thing that's probably not as easily fixable and it does cost money is taking the shower pin out of the primary. And I guess I did it at Dabney, and then I did this here where when you pop up the shower pan, if you don't do it just right, it actually cracks the drain pipe going into the ground. And in Dabney, they had to chip it out and it cost a good bit of money to chip out and redo the P-trap or get it down to the P-trap. And here it looks like they've done that project before because they chipped through the primary level of the concrete, or maybe when they built the house, because it's not the actual slab, but it's some other material.
Yeah, that's the way that it's poured when they do that's the original slab. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carlos and his guys are going to get to work out their chisel again. I did the same thing, but I mean, it probably is a multi-person job to do it just where you literally lift straight up and don't put any pressure on that pipe. So, because I didn't use a sledgehammer at all.
Well, last time I didn't see it, right? I didn't see the damage last time. I just knew that you had pulled it, and then the new shower pan was there, and they were putting the new one in. And all I saw was like before and then after new pans in.
Right.
And then I got the bill at the end, and he said, no. And I was like, man, this is a little high. And he's like, and we had to chip out that drain, and we had to rebuild the drain. And I was like, really? It's like, okay, whatever. And so I didn't really argue with him at all. I took his word for it. He's honest, He doesn't take advantage. But I'm like, man. So then this time I see it again, and I'm like, yesterday I saw it because I was like, hey, the shower pan's not in yet. And I saw the broken pipe, and he goes, yeah, because the demo guys took it out and it broke the pipe. I got to chip it all out again. I was like, no. I was like, damn it.
So next time is either let Pablo do it with his helper, or, I mean, I guess maybe but I think you pay an extra little bit to get Carlos and his guys to take it out, and they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, they
could
take it out for sure. or just watch them if the timing's right. But
overall, that project has gone well. That house is eerily similar to Dabney.
Yeah.
The layout is, and the age is similar. Speaking of eerie though, of that house, we made a few videos, but
your music was perfect with that, by the way.
Yeah. So we're doing demo in the backyard, and I think it was Caden. Maybe he mentioned it. I can't remember if you said something, but the lady who had lived there has put probably 30 VHS tapes, just stuffed them in the fence between the actual fence and the poles, up, high, low, all. But she didn't do it all around. And it's just weird. And so Caden actually looked it up. He's like, man, I think this might be witchcraft. And I was like, I don't know. But I put it on social media, and several people say, well, maybe it's to keep the rats from running around.
A lot of people guessed that. Like it seemed like that was a common guess, was to keep rats and mice from being able to run around the fence. But
it's just
very bizarre. I've never seen it. I was walking it with Pablo the other day to do landscape cleanup, and I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, what is that? At first I thought they were books, and then I saw they were VHS tapes. And I'm like, that is bizarre. And the fence isn't that old. So, I mean, this isn't something that was done in like 20 years ago. This had to be something done within at least the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well, this lady was interesting. I did you ever meet the owner? Do you know the owner at all? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. It's Caden, the helper. He got several surprises when we were going through that house. He got to take home some gifts, some side gifts from things we found in that house. So we'll leave it at that. We'll keep her dignity in place and leave it at that. Caden was happy to work for me that day. All right. Let's talk about a little bit of news. Let me pull up the screen share here. We're not going to do the market update this week. We're going to jump back into that next week. We're going to do it about once a month. And things don't change a ton. There is one story here that we will talk about as we navigate the news. The New York Post is a national story. Sellers are flooding the home market while buyers sit on their hands in these U.S. cities, creating a historic imbalance. Well, as they went down the list, there's obviously random little pockets throughout the country that are worse, but they did say that the Southeast and Southwest, specifically Florida and Austin, were the two that they mentioned there. And so Dallas... So Dustin and Megan live down in Austin. Dustin's a broker down there. They flip. So they're fingers on the pulse of Austin real estate. They feel like it's getting a little bit better for them. I think a lot of times things happen down there just a little bit before they happen here, and they happen with greater extreme. Their peaks and valleys are a little bit higher and lower than us. And they started struggling last year. We really slowed down, but Dustin has picked up like crazy recently. And I feel like we're slowing down, i.e. our house that has now been on the market, I think 39 days. I thought it was a little over 40-ish, but 39 days. And so we're under the average for we're right at, when I look at my really local pocket where it's right around 40, when you kind of take out some of the outliers that are just really random houses that were sat for 277 days.
Yeah.
And 11, we're doing okay. We're right at average. So we're considering maybe a price drop, maybe not, maybe just wait it out. Just like, what is the market telling us? And so we're really trying to dive into that to see what we need to do. But in general, although we're not going to dive into the actual numbers, the market is slowing down. We have a lot of inventory. Buyers are hesitant to jump out there. Interest rates are kind of flat. They're talking about them going down fall. So maybe some people just think, let's wait it out. Not really sure. But then if you look at, obviously you can look at your project over on Montego, and if you have a pocket that's hot and it's a well-priced thing, it goes over asking, flies off the market. So definitely.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Like, I mean, we always say the good ones go quick. I mean, I think it's also has to do with the demographic, as well as just like, what the home is offering. Location, right, is key. I mean, we can't say that enough. And that being a specific pocket that offers the right amount of amenities for a lock and leave community, the several people bidding on that property were, middle-aged or older, right?
They wanted it for a parent, or they wanted it for kind of an older family member.
There was one in particular that, was an older, I say older gentleman, probably middle-aged gentleman, maybe our age or older. And the son was a Jesuit, right? So being in private schools right there. So it was very, niche specific for that. So I think, anytime you come across that, and, there was a lot of things when you and I walked that home, and it was kind of good because you and I walked it originally, and there was another agent buyer there, I believe, or maybe it was just an individual buyer, and he couldn't see it. Like, he was struggling.
Just you guys.
Yeah, he was like, man, this thing is a mess,
Yeah.
And you and I walked it, and I'm like seeing things, and I've done 2 in that pocket before.
Yeah.
Now, the 2 that I did in that pocket did not excite the market the same way that it did this time, and that was in 2017. One of them took a little longer. The other one sold fairly quickly, but the master down was a huge thing. So I knew that was a big benefit, and then being able to make that 3rd bedroom upstairs. And just the architectural details this house had, right? And the layout, the floor plan was really cool. But what we're seeing is, you've got to just be careful, on the backside. You got to pad it to make sure, because they're not all going to hit this way. I mean, but Alameda is a perfect example.
Yeah.
I knew that one had a few things, going into it, as far as, just the floor plan, it was teeing off to a main street. I knew that would kick out some buyers. A
lot of stairs involved.
There was other floor plans in the neighborhood that were, not as nice, selling for less, anyways, it had a lot of challenges, but I bought it a little skinny, and ultimately I should have bought it deeper. And it would have been a little bit more, rewarding. I mean, we still made money on it, but it is, time, effort, money, and go through 3 contracts. It's just one of those things you're just kind of like, oh, man. I mean, we still moved it in not very far over 90 days. Like, at the end of the day, it was, it was still a really good timeline from acquisition to sale. I think maybe it was under 115 days. I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about this yesterday, it just kind of depends. Like your price point is kind of in that middle, second time home buyer price point. People that don't have to move, you've got really good schools where you're at, but it's like, what
Your
is
kids
that?
might be locked into school somewhere. There's not.
Yeah, what is that wow factor that people are feeling like they have to go buy this property?
Yeah.
Right. You don't have a pool or a really like tricked out backyard, and those things aren't done yet. They could be done, but they're not done.
Have you seen our basil plant? I mean, give me a little bit of credit out there.
Well, you do have an awesome garden. You do have an awesome garden, so that is nice.
Rosemary,
but I think ultimately it's just because the inventory is stacking up.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
People don't have to move, right? They don't have to buy.
When you're talking, so this has come up a couple of times when we're underwriting houses for you. It came up last week. I was doing a video out in a house, so we'll talk about doing some cool videos on some car homes.
Yeah,
but you've said this phrase a few times. This property just doesn't excite, and there's nothing about it there's really no upside or exciting. And I think that's key. You're being discerning. It's worked. And I think maybe what you're saying too is like, there's no value add to this. There's nothing that I can kind of put my touch on that's going to increase that someone else can't do. It's just kind of a normal house in a normal neighborhood that I'm going to paint some walls and no one will really appreciate it. I mean, it's hard to find these one-off things that you can just go crazy with. And we actually ran into this at one of the houses we looked at. It was a flip property that just happened to have a really cool garage. But when I was talking in this video about underwriting these types of things, when you go the other hand, it's super interesting and super unique. And we might even say weird. You don't want to go there either. Like you can't have something that's just so unique that has like, oh, this is a normal house in a normal neighborhood, but it happens to have, maybe a mother-in-law suite, 2,400 square foot shop out back. Not that that's not cool, but on the backside of that, marketing it to a normal person, like you're really narrowing down who you're selling to. And right now in this flip market, I feel like you have to do everything you can to try to position yourself, not only to have the widest market possible on the back end, but you want to be able to position yourself at a price point when they're comparing everything else here. It's just a no-brainer. Like, why would I not want to go ahead and go over here? Right. As opposed to saying like, well, I guess I could stretch an extra $50,000 and get a nicer house. Like, no, you're going to be similarly priced and better. And so you just have to buy it at a crazy price on the front end.
And that particular home we're talking about that didn't excite me. The other part that didn't excite me is that it was a wholesale deal. So the wholesaler's making a margin on it.
Yeah.
And I'm completely fine with that if the deal all makes sense. But I felt like we were having to push ARV. I was going to have to be like really cautious on the budget. And there was just so many things. It was a rental home. And there were so many things every time we turned a corner in that place that I'm like, that's deferred maintenance. That's deferred maintenance. That's deferred maintenance. And I'm like, this place is just going to eat money on fixing stuff. And you're not going to be able to do anything cool. Like
you're peeling back the onion and you may not even see a third.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when it's all buttoned up and all these things are fixed, they're that's where you go back. There's no wow factor. Right. There's nothing there that somebody's going to walk in and go, oh, wow. Like, I mean, we can make it cosmetically, beautiful and sexy, but there wasn't anything that this home offered that was going to make it stand out.
Did you see the spray insulation we did in the attic? In the laundry box that we switched properly? Oh, man.
Yeah. No. Yeah, those things help us on the inspections. But and ultimately, no, I think you're right. And that we go back to playing red light, green light. It's like, there is still enough investors in it that are in the game that just want to do a deal. Now, 2 years ago, to get a place in Plano when inventory was extremely low, the excitement was that you had inventory of a renovated home in a market where there was high demand and no inventory.
Right.
We're not in that right now.
Yeah.
So that you have to adjust and shift to what the market is conditioning you for. And that was a big thing when I was looking at it based on what the comps were. There wasn't a lot that really showed me that this had potential to just, trigger people to pull the trigger on it.
Speaking of people just jumping into projects, I stepped in it on Facebook the other day. I made a comment on an investor forum. Someone was asking about the cost of a lot.
I think the guy was a little harsh. Like at the end of the day,
I agree. But
when I read it, you made a general statement that isn't out of line, and you did protect it by saying it depends on X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Which is exactly right. And the guy was just a jerk back and just belittling you. But that's why you can't read all the comments and you can't take offense to it, because at the end of the day,
I read them all the time. No, I didn't. I was just trying to be a part of this conversation, and someone had asked, what do you normally pay for lots in this area? And I was making a general statement of how we underwrite them is typically 25% of the project.
20 to 25%. Yeah.
The after build value, the lot can be to around 25%. Well, this guy, and they're like, oh, he obviously has no idea what he's talking about. So please take all my lots. Like they're thinking like I'm making this statement. It was like, this is the idiot that's buying up all these expensive lots, trying to make money. Like, why would you do all that work and not make any money? And I'm thinking, dude, and I even said, like, you obviously know more than me. I'm just going off of what we normally underwrite.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like,
just going off our underwriting aspect.
Yeah,
you know.
And so, but I'm like, are these people buying it at like 12% of after build value? It was like, I said 25%. You thought I would have said 80% of after build value you can spend on your lot. You know, it's like, but anyway, but there's always people out there that think, oh man, who are these idiots buying up these lots at these prices? You can't make money like that. So I fell into that category in this conversation online the other day. So
you weren't, I mean, and you know, he was very specific to his zip codes. And so that was a part of it.
Little pocket.
But I mean, you weren't out of line. And I think, you know, to have a general rule of thumb of saying 20 to 25%, you know, of purchase price of lot value compared to ABV after build value is not out of line. I mean, that gives you a starting point, and then you have to scrub it and dial in a little bit deeper. And, you know, is there a house?
I mean, his projects look very high end, and he was saying his price for that area was 40 to 60,000 for a lot. Man, bless you if you that. I don't know. I mean, so obviously they know more than me on the.
Well,
I want to at some point reach out to George or.
That's not out of line. I mean, depending on price point, right? If your price point is capped at $300,000 to $400,000, I mean, you can't pay that much more, you know, for a lot. You're going to have to buy a lot that cheap, right, to make those numbers work. So there is a formula there, but you know, on the other hand, you know, you're talking a $2 million home is got to sell for, you know, you're buying a $2 million lot or 2 million ABV you need to be able to buy that lot between 400 and 500,000. That's not out of line.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Keith is looking for. That we're
exactly
looking in the M streets and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what things are going for there. But anyway,
well, and
I stepped in.
So I did the math. I might have told you this over the weekend. I had a lead on a burnout. It got struck by lightning. House was built in 2019. And I ran the numbers, ran through the scenario, and we went back and forth a little bit. And then I put pen to paper on it. I was like, okay, I think I can come up to this. But this particular lead came from an agent that gave me the scenario, didn't give me an address. And I'm doing the math with her and just breaking it all down and, you know, giving her an idea of where it was. And I told her it was probably somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. Maybe more. It just depended, you know, on like what the house was, what the lot was. All these different things are different factors. But you know, one thing that she said was, you know, well, there's things you can keep, you know, like only the middle of the house got damaged. And I was like, unfortunately with the burnout, the entire thing has to go back to the studs. You're rewiring the entire house. Yeah. I'm like, you got to kills the entire thing. Like, I mean, and I was like, did the fire department come? She go, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. So what the fire and smoke doesn't damage, the water does. And a lot of people don't know that. And so I was just kind of setting the expectations because we see these things go to wholesale all the time for a burnout. And people are just off the rocker. I mean, they come up with a deal that's like a $300,000 to $400,000 house and they put it out as a burnout for buying it for $150,000 to $200,000. I'm like, you guys have never done this before. You have no idea what goes into it. And then the time, effort, and money. And we go back to that excitement factor.
And permits and all, you have to go, everything has to be perfect the whole time, you know?
And I kind of did the math and ran it. And I was like, okay, I think my max number at like 25%, I could probably pay close to $100,000 for this thing and still make a decent margin that makes sense for the time, effort, and money, because going through the city, going through engineering and all that, we're talking 6 months, you know, at least minimum that it's going to take me to do this project. And it was also, not to mention, over 55 community. So you're kind of narrowed in. Now, there was some demand, but there was a lot of things you had to jump through, right? And it just wasn't, you know, an easy thing to do. And so she originally was on me on Father's Day to like give a number. So I finally like take time out. I'm smoking ribs. I come in here, I run the numbers. I text her and I'm like, here's what I can do. Yeah. And she goes, okay, thank you. Well, now I think there's a deadline of 5:00 on Tuesday. And I'm like, I'm out. I was like, I'm not going to compete. Like, I don't want it that bad. Like, I really don't want this headache of dealing with the city and dealing with all these things to, you know, like potentially I might make 80 grand on it the way that I ran my numbers. And I'm like, I deal with all this and get squeezed on the number. That 80 becomes like 50 or 40.
Yeah. You could do 2 projects that are home, you know, kind of singles, doubles that you do all the time. And, you know,
not have the headaches.
So, all right. Let's do 2 more news stories and then we'll get into a couple properties. So I don't know that we mentioned this Netflix house. This is a concept that they're doing 2 of in the United States, maybe in the world, but one of them is going to be here in Dallas. They're building out, must be a part of the mall. I don't think this is going to be a new build, but it's either in Galleria or next to Galleria that they are building this Netflix house. And in reading about it, it kind of seems like a Dave & Buster's meets a Cinemark type thing, because I think there's going to be video games and experiential type stuff. And it says experiential entertainment venue. The other, this sounds really elegant.
And this is at the
King
Galleria.
of Prussia, Pennsylvania. King of Prussia.
This looks like the main, like the big entrance where that Grand Lux restaurant was.
Maybe that's what, maybe. Yeah, where the Grand Lux, that restaurant. What's the other one that's Grand Lux is just like that other restaurant, Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
Same company.
Okay.
That would make some sense. There's also the American Girl Doll Company has a spot there that's gone out of business. We spent some money there at one point. But this looks really cool.
I'm sure there's a lot of dads on here that can relate.
I mean, they're like, I really hate to see American Girl Doll leave and the Netflix house come in where I can go actually spend some time there. But, all right. So next news story, Shaquille O'Neal, we've mentioned, he is actually a resident of the DFW now. He was my neighbor right down the street, Carrollton, for about a year. He had this really random kind of normal house for a while, I guess he was getting the lay of the land. And so he's here. He lives over in Rockwall. He's starting several companies. He helped invest in this beverage company called Beatbox Beverages or something. He was on Shark Tank. Mark Cuban's a part of it. He's a DJ, so he's been doing it. But so they're interviewing me. He said to Shaq, you've mentioned you've been here a long time. Parentheses, O'Neal has a home in the Dallas area. You could live anywhere in the country. Why do you choose to live here? Shaquille O'Neal, because it's flat. Everything looks brand new. It's open. And even though I always talk about Dallas, I could still be in Dallas. When I lived in Atlanta, once I leave Atlanta, it ain't Atlanta. When you leave here, you've got Plano, Legacy West. You've got Irvin, Fort Worth. You've got all these places that make you feel like you're still in one place. You've got Rockwall, where I live. And then in Dallas, the real estate just looks brand new. I like riding on the roads and looking on the roads. Everything just looks brand new. Some cities I live in, you can tell the building's been there 80 years, and I don't like that all the time. You've got the sun and weather, and I'm from Texas. So I think he grew up in San Antonio.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I thought, why do you like it here? Because it's flat. Everything
because it's
brand
flat.
New. But I really thought it was cool that Shaquille O'Neal mentions Plano and Legacy West as like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this
Well,
is
I
one
mean,
of the
that is
reasons I like
true.
this
Like,
place.
yeah. I mean, and what looks old is being renovated, right? So,
Yeah.
like that shopping center there at Park and Preston. I mean, and that was out of the four corners of Park and Preston. That was the most updated looking shopping center that was there before. Like, it had the slate roof, it had all the arches. Like, it was a little bit more ornate than the other shopping centers that are on the opposite corners. When we first moved here in 2004, like that was, an attractive looking shopping center, but now they have completely modernized it and make it look like, what you would see in a, brand new development area.
Yeah. No, it looks great.
So it's pretty cool.
We went to we went to the Katy Trail, the 5-year renovation project of Katy Trail expansion over there. It was cool. Like, I was a little underwhelmed, honestly. Like, it would look really cool.
It looks like really exciting from the outside, and you go in, you're kind of like, oh, okay, it's just the same thing expanded.
Yeah, and I thought I had read an article that just made me think that it was going to be really almost the same size as Katy Trail down in Dallas, and I had just been there. Actually, a family member was coming through town. We went down there, and
that's cool.
It's really cool. And so when we walked in the other day for lunch, I'm like, wait a minute, it's just kind of the same place, just expanded out 50 feet or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, it looks great. I mean, they brought in huge trees. It looks like it's been aged, and it's been there. That patio looks like it was a part of the original place, and so they did a really good job there. But I did think it was gonna. I don't know. I was expecting some sort of Disney World experience or something. But I walked in, it was a little underwhelming. But okay, so let's shift gears here, figuratively and literally. So I have a project I've been working on, and we've been talking about it a while, and I finally pulled the trigger, I think 2 weeks ago, and started this page, Luxury Garage and Hangar Homes of North Texas. So I've been working with a real estate coach up at Keller Williams, Seth Mills. He's awesome. And, with his help and your help, like, I've really kind of defined my business as 3 different pillars. And the investment side, helping investors like you find houses, obviously doing some of the demo and learning that whole world, underwriting projects, hopefully doing my own flips again. I really enjoy that. And I think I'm becoming more knowledgeable than a lot of people just because I've been spending time in that world. And I would hate to completely ignore that and walk away from it, because when I enjoy it, after a while, you become pretty good at stuff. And so investment is one pillar. My sphere, just my friends, the Hebron band, all the people that I've known from just different relationships, everyone says, look, your friends and your sphere, this is a huge part of your business and real estate. You're spending time with people. They know you're in real estate. They're going to use you to buy and sell houses. And so you can't ignore your sphere. So that's pillar number 2. Well,
and
pillar
ask
number
for the business.
Ask for the business, which I did on a video recently, and someone reached out. And so the third pillar that I've become passionate about, I grew up loving cars. My dad was loved cars, used to build race cars. He raced cars for some people for a while up in the Amarillo area. We grew up, going to car shows, and we never really had a lot of fancy cars. We would just go to shows. And when I say we didn't have a lot of fancy cars, we never had a fancy car. I mean, El Camino, a van, an 88 Caprice, like these were sort of our things. And, Suburbans, and as we went on, a little bit nicer. But, we would always go to car shows, go to NASCAR, go to F1, that's right. And Luke has really come into his own and loving cars, and he has one of his best friends is a huge car guy. We love talking about cars, going to races, same thing. And, well, what I realized is that there's a gap in the market in DFW. There's a large car community. There's a ton of people that love following these car influencers and going to shows and all that, but there wasn't a realtor that was really speaking to that crowd. And there's a guy up in Michigan who has done that up there and has been very successful. And all he does is post these really cool houses that have custom garages. So we talked about it, and I'm just going to do it. So one Saturday morning, I started the Facebook page, Luxury Garage and Hangar Homes of North Texas, did the little artwork and all that stuff. And we are up to almost 300 followers. We're $296, and not quite to the 70,000 that the guy up in Michigan has, but we'll get there.
Well, and I wanted to add something real quick. So it wasn't that you didn't decide to copycat somebody. You actually created the idea, came up with the idea, and then as we were searching to see if it existed or if there was anything like it, we stumbled upon the Michigan page. So I just want to put that out there. Like, this wasn't a copycat thing. Like this was after the fact. But then when we saw, we were kind of like, oh, okay, cool. But no, this is something, that I definitely inspired, or was inspired by the conversation and like, oh, this would be cool. And what I'm impressed with so far, some of the stuff that you've been able to post on here is actually here in Texas, like not that far away. These are active. These are active listings, and shout out to Kayla this Roberts. Past week. She's a listener on her podcast, and I don't know if it was because of the conversation or something that she stumbled upon it. Anyways, connected the dots and realized that you had this page and actually asked you to promote it on this page. So
we had our first realtor reach out. She works for Sotheby's, and she had this property over in Willow Park, which is west of Fort Worth, kind of southwest of Fort Worth area.
Yeah, and you know what? And you might put something on there that references Fort Worth, because Willow Park's not a common demographic area that we can relate to. Like when I saw Willow Park, I'm like, where is that? But if you say outside of Fort Worth or west of Fort Worth in bold letters, I think it would be a little bit more like,
because there's another one over there, Joshua. I wasn't familiar with Joshua, and it has a couple really interesting one of the first ones we posted actually was done in Joshua.
And that's in Fort Worth too, right?
Yeah. It's just south of Fort Worth. So there's these parts over there that just have big lots. So like Kayla's property out in Willow Park, it's $1.6 million. What's interesting about it is it's an acre. She called it mid-century modern. It's a 76, maybe I think it's a 76 house.
So it's a post mid-century design
ranch. It's more like mid-century ranch, but it definitely has that influence inside specifically. I mean, there's a lot of nature, a lot of really cool trees, and inside they have the natural roof beams or slat.
Whoever owned it and what lake is that? Do you know?
It's
a lake
actually
or a pond?
A reservoir. It's it's coming off of one of the forks of the Trinity. Okay. And it's coming off of a lake a little bit further north. I can't remember, not a big one, but that's just a little reservoir.
So what's wild with this place is that, we haven't walked it yet. And you from that view right there, the aerial, you can kind of see these different roofs that have been added. But it's like this thing was just added on. Yeah. Potentially
they have the main area,
more garages over the years.
24 spots for cars. Which is just crazy. 24 places to put cars. So, check out the...
and it's tastefully done. Like, it needs to be staged. It needs to be staged. It needs George Bass to come. And it looks like that's a virtual stage.
It is virtual,
But they need to spend the money, get George Bass in there, let him kill this thing, put it out of the park. Like, I just saw George actually posted one yesterday, the day before. It was like a dated house, but he staged it, and it went under contract really fast. Like, you could tell that the house hadn't been updated, but his staging just, made all the world of difference.
Yeah, he does a lot of high-end work, but he's great. Yeah, Kayla, thanks for sending this by, and tell your sellers to get on the ball and hire George.
I will say the only thing that that is a little eerie in this is this green floor in the big garage, and that one that's attached to the house.
That's a storm cellar.
That's got the basement, the storm shelter built in.
The storm cellar. That's cool. It's a finished out storm cellar. But
okay, so that attachment or that addition right there with this green floor, why in the world they would have chose that color?
Well,
for this garage floor.
Defense, sir, this is very similar to the tile you're putting in at Greenfield in the master. Now that I look at it. Is that too far off from the title, or is that?
That doesn't make me feel like a spa, though. That makes me feel like I'm going to some military hospital or black market kidney factory.
Yeah, or a place you can park 24 cars. I mean, it's like, so maybe
I agree. I just don't know who chose that floor color
yes,
with
it is
all
an
the white
odd,
walls.
it is definitely an odd concrete color. I will give you that. And especially considering like most cars are, white, black, gray.
Yeah, it might look
silver.
cool with cars in it. I mean, maybe that was maybe he had some.
Usually, it's typically way more neutral.
See,
I will
like
definitely say
right there,
that.
that definitely has that like
World War
scary
II
movie hospital
triage.
vibe where you just see a bunch of cots everywhere and
like zombies
like
are coming through the neighborhood, and they're like, "We
curtains.
got a place." Oh, and especially when you see the underground bunker, which is really like a hurricane bunker, which is cool. If this was over in Headley, Texas, they would have walls of canned
or
goods
tornado.
of unknown age and onions and potatoes sitting underground. So, so anyway, that's a really cool property. I'll just show a couple more of these. I just wanted people to know about that.
If you guys can go to our website, it's both. It's going to be on our podcast website, Real Estate Heavyweights.
I'll link it there.
And then Luxury Garage and Hangar Homes of North Texas. If you guys will go like and subscribe, that would help Ashton out. And there's some cool stuff that gets posted on there.
Really cool stuff.
All the time.
One thing we found is this. There's two of these that I've found. This one's in Roanoke, and there's another one down in Joshua. This is a beautiful house, and the Ferraris.
And they staged it, of course, with the Lambos and the Ferraris in here.
Is this a George Bass staging prop of a Ferrari and a Lambo next to it?
He's got to up his game, man. He's got to up his game.
This is crazy because this is like an actual garage, and it looks like they have a tire balancing machine. This is an actual like mechanics garage, but it's.
I think that's a dyno that he was on.
Oh, okay. It's like an event center. I was trying to. It's almost $5 million. I do think it has a 2-bedroom house. There's a Maybach.
There's a Maybach and
another AMG Mercedes, but super cool feel to this whole thing. And I
paint booth.
Yeah, paint booth. So it's like someone would have this as a business, but then they could also have clients out to hang out. There's a lot of common space.
Is that a humidor?
Or there's writing in there. I wonder if that's some sort of technology room or something. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's a crazy.
That would be awesome though, if it's a humidor.
It would be neat to walk this property if they would let us, just to say, what exactly is it? Because it kind of looks old-timey garage meets super modern car garage.
And where is this one located?
This one's in Roanoke.
Oh, it's in Roanoke. Okay.
Yeah.
Not far.
And there's a pool. It's like a car Airbnb / works common workspace.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. So, so we're going to really just keep posting, finding unique houses. We've posted one hangar house over here in Plano and the private airport over here in Plano.
Yep.
They actually are only using it for pickleball right now, but
indoor pickleball court.
Yes, technically you can park multiple cars, or they've maintained the hangar door, they said. And then we have just some really neat garages in private homes. We're doing some video. So Josh Mueller and I went out last week and did some video. We actually hit this one up. We've talked about this house over in.
Is that one under contract yet?
That's a great question. I have not kept up on whether it's under contract. That's the one that we talked about that unfortunately the guy had passed away, and Josh and I went out there and did some walkthrough. I don't have that one listed here to know whether that's under contract or not, but I'll try to get an update on that and let people know, because it would be really cool if they could get that under contract, because the family I know was just doing everything they could to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, keep track of Luxury Garage and Hangar Homes of North Texas. If you do get on there, subscribe, try to send it to a few friends. We're going to try to get a nice following there. And I'll be honest, it's just a lot of fun to do. And I think we're offering something to the community to show them houses that are out there that no one that I know of is doing on a regular basis. So we'll see how that goes. Well, that'll do it for today's show. If you have not yet, please find us on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, all the things. Please like, subscribe, share it with a friend or two. If you listen, It's awesome to hear from you. Please give us a message and say, I appreciate this segment, or if you could change this, that would be great. Or why don't you talk about this development or whatever. We always enjoy hearing that sort of thing. But until next time, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.